They say, "Oh well, there's a deal to be had." That's what a lot of CEOs say. Mm-hmm. They say, "Oh, there's a deal to be had." No, you don't need to negotiate to be compassionate about whether your employees, and in this case, these players. I got a question though, and this in regards to the NFL. NFL take a lot of heat.
Oh yeah.
So I want to ask this though: what if this happened in the third quarter?
Then suspending the game and canceling the game would have been a lot easier than the first. That's all. It would have been an easier decision, and they would have made that a lot quicker than it took them to make it than right now. You know what I mean?
Wait a minute. You actually think that it would have been easier to cancel or suspend the game?
Because they're almost there.
If it happened in the third quarter or the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Explain yourself, because you sound dumb as hell.
I see what you're saying. Right? I say it would have been maybe I shouldn't have said
how is it going to be
cancel.
easier?
Or call it as is, meaning like this is the end of the game, and you can still count it. I should have said that. You can still count it middle of the third quarter. I would still count it. More than half the game was played, depending on where the score was at, and it was already somewhat looking bad in a favor of one specific team in the first quarter.
It wasn't looking bad. It was 7-3.
7-3. Yeah.
What do you mean? It's 7-3. It's bad,
and it's too early.
Can't say it was
too early.
It's not.
It's too early.
But so how would it have been easier? That don't even make any sense.
I guess it would have been easier to have been like, okay, let's just call it at this point and count the game. I should say it that way. And count the game opposed to the first. Not the first quarter. Not in the first quarter. But in the third quarter, it'd be easier for them to say, let's count the third game where it's at, where it is, opposed to canceling it like out of the first quarter. That's how I look at it as.
You probably the only person in the world that would have had that take.
I think to me, like, the NFL didn't have a decision in this. But just like in the first quarter of the game, the players made a decision.
Agree.
Like the players were just
I agree with that. The players and the coaches.
Yeah, regardless what the league wants to do, it's decided.
Yeah.
We're not coming back out there, especially for Buffalo, and I stand with all those players on the field. If one of my teammates is down, we ain't going back out there. Agreed. You know what I mean? We in the locker room until we find out he's okay. So if that happens in the third quarter, I think it goes down the same way.
And that's an interesting point because you're gonna have a huge pushback because I.
So what you got, nigga? What's your answer?
Because I feel like it would have definitely been a lot harder.
What you got, nigga? What's your answer? What you doing?
You're not listening.
Okay, go ahead.
I just said it would have been a whole lot harder. That's why it don't make no sense why you said it would have been easier. I don't know where
just call the game where it's at, nigga. That's what the game is, right there.
Situation is so unfortunate and it's so
very
like I was literally like worried about this man. Right. Like I'm literally like, what the hell? What is this? Like is this guy gonna be it? My girl, she came over that night. And I was like, I do not want to wake up and my phone notification say this dude passed away.
I know, bro.
Mm-hmm. I was like, that was what I really did not want to see.
Right.
I was really worried about that. And I started thinking about, and it was the next day, some of the shows are coming on and I'm thinking about the whole situation. I'm like, what if this happened in the third quarter, fourth quarter? Would the NFL had, suspended the game? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure they would have. Now, to your point, Warren, I think that was a good display of unity of the players and the coaches of both these teams, both Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills, that you was like, you know what? We're going to say that the priority is life and the well-being of one of our brothers. And I think that was a perfect display of unity. I'm going to shock y'all with my position as far as the NFL. I'm going to be honest. Y'all know I'm hard on corporations. It's my line of work. But I'm going to bring this up. The NFL does deserve credit because they've been getting a lot of heat. But they deserve credit just for this. They suspended this game. They canceled the game today. They basically have made it where Damar Hamlin's life and his condition is more important than playing a game of football. I brought up this analogy at work. I said, if I'd have dropped dead at my job, they wouldn't give a fuck. They'd be like, you want to buy fiber after?
That's a fact. Okay.
What job you work at would have done that?
Truly.
So think about that for a second. before you start casting judgment on a big corporation like the NFL. And yes, they are money driven corporation. They all about the bread. But in this instance, you got to give them a little bit of credit that they decided not to just go the route of a money grab, because you know how much the money implications that this had.
Betting,
all this type of stuff. That's not just a super easy decision for a corporation to make. Not saying that life is more important than anything, but I'm saying that that's not just necessarily an easy decision. There's a lot of moving parts that are involved with making a decision like that. You talk about all those fans that are at the stadium and trying to have them exit, and you have to do that timely because you don't want to, congest the roads, because that could fuck with the ambulance that's trying to get him to the hospital. Like there's a whole bunch of different stuff that plays out with this that I think that everybody did a good job. Okay. And shout out to all the doctors and the medical personnel that pretty much are responsible for Damar to still be breathing today.
That being said, and the NFL did make a good decision on that. And not to take away from that, you're completely 100% right. Do you think, though, there was a little bit of, you know what I mean? You think the NFL did it completely just full, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those situations where
100%.
We better do this or else.
100%.
Okay.
100%. But this is the key part. This is the only reason why I give them credit, because there's plenty of corporations that still would have not done it.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the only reason why I say that. There's still plenty of corporations that still, even knowing that, even know that the PR wouldn't have been good if they continued the game on, they still would have went with it. The fact that they didn't, I think that they deserved that part. But you are absolutely right. They definitely had the pressure of the public opinion.
Right.
If you did not suspend this game and you tried to continue to play this game while this man is fighting for his life.
Well, it was just somebody I follow, and it was just interesting how he brought up a point about, the union and what's happened in terms of the bargaining deal with the NFL.
Right.
That the fact that they've changed, we could sit here, we can give all these prayers and all these praises to this man, but it's like, are they really going to take care of him, though, in the end? Like, and he put his money out there, but he did it for a reason. You know what I mean? And I thought that was like, whoa, that put it in perspective. I didn't know about that with a bargaining deal with the NFL. Do you know more about that, or do you?
So I'll say this. Before you sent me that, I had Dominic Foxworthy. He's on ESPN. He does. He was actually on First Take for a little bit. He had a small segment. I actually recorded it because, man, I had to rewind on my TV and watch it again.
Go to a situation like this. It happened around the Tua concussion too, and it's because of my experience at the union. Is there are so many players in this game who are suffering because of this game. And as I remember going through CBA negotiations, and I remember fighting for health and safety advancements and fighting for a higher salary cap. And I also remember some of these people in the media who were outpouring and caring last night. They were calling Screedy. And some of these same fans were like, get back on the field. As we were reminded last night, there is no limit on the risk for the players.
The same people that are saying prayers to him, safety, preaching all this good stuff that sounds good. He said when it matters at the bargaining table, when we're negotiating to get these players better pensions, better pay after they leave this game, where they are beaten and battered and dealing with CTE and all other type of stuff, these guys not only not want to give it to them, they want to shortchange them. And that spoke so much to me because in my line of work, I've had situations like that. I've seen stories where we had technicians that have, been severely injured due to the job that they do or been electrocuted or something that been died. We had situations in some retail where you had, robberies and stuff like that where the corporation didn't even want to provide a security guard. So when it's at the bargaining table, when the shit really matters, are you going to step up? At that point, it's good to sound all right now in this midst of this situation. But when it matters is at the bargaining table when they need this stuff to be going on. And a lot of people don't know that the video that Tony's talking about, you have to be vested in the NFL. You got to reach, I think, the year 4 or 5 to be vested before you can even start receiving a lot of those benefits that you get or to even receive a pension. And that's like that for a lot of corporations. But for the NFL, it's because the shelf life is so short.
Very short. Shortness to be able to say, Damar Hamlin has only been in the league. What is his second year?
Second year, yeah.
Second year. And short life. I mean, I'm optimistic now. I'll be 100% honest with you. When it happened on the field, I was just like, man, this is going to be sad news. You know,
it didn't look good.
And everything that everyone's saying at this current point in time is to kind of keep the public from hearing a tragedy or some type of sad news. But when I woke up this morning and heard that he's responsive and he wrote something down, he wrote, did we win? It brought a smile to your face for sure.
Absolutely.
The humor in it. Did we win? That's what you're thinking about right now. And then, of course, the doctor responded, yeah, you won at the game of life, right? But no, the humor part about it, I have still in the back of my mind, like now, okay, he's writing. I heard his legs are moving. They still have him heavily sedated, obviously, still in critical condition. But is he going to be able to play again? Is he going to be able to get those checks again?
I think that's I think right now that's the last thing he's thinking about. I think right now he's thinking about survival.
What I'm going at though is where's that money going to come from? The sacrifice that you've done, like you're expecting to have multiple years. You've probably already made changes, uprooted family, purchased new homes. Where's the money going to come at now? Where's that money coming from? So I guess what you're saying in that bargaining agreement, 4 years is vested, right? That's too far. Right.
Well, I fully expect the Buffalo Bills to step in and do something. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. They're going to take care of it.
Just like
I would hope so.
With Andrew Luck. I mean, Andrew Luck retired
a
few years ago because all the elements of his body. And the Colts stepped up and said, look, like, your contract's still full. Like, I think they could have got he would have owed them money. And then they came out and they're like, it's fully guaranteed. He can take all his money. You know what I mean? And he retired, I think, like 3 or 4 years after getting a big contract. So, I mean, I fully expect Buffalo. If not, I mean, Bills Mafia is one of the biggest fan bases in the league. They always come, like, Mafia. I don't know if you guys seen all the donations, like the donations.
I was going to say his charity is good.
Speak about the charity, man. Yeah. Like, he had a charity that he put out for a toy drive.
Right.
And the goal was only $2,500 prior to this game. The last time I checked, this thing is almost at $5 million.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So there's been a good silver lining out of this, and a bright spot. And hopefully, I hope for the best recovery that he can get out of this, and to me, I hope it will help push this forward for these players.
Right.
When it comes to when they leave this game.
And that bargaining.
Like, you know what? Forget the bargaining part. Because a lot of people put it on the bargaining because you got the players union and then you have the NFL. It does not require negotiation for you to show compassion as the NFL. Like, that's the BS. That's the BS that corporations push so often. They say, oh, well, there's a deal to be had. That's what a lot of CEOs say. They say, oh, there's a deal to be had. No, you don't need to negotiate to be compassionate about whether your employees, and in this case, these players.